What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time, we're going to be taking a look at the Hills Have Eyes remake, and I'm just going to flat out say it. This movie kicks ass. I think the Hills Have Eyes remake is one of those remakes that outdoes the original in every which way. I thought Alexander Raja did an outstanding job bringing this remake to life. He has that perfect blend of atmosphere, suspense, and tension, and when it's time to ratchet up the violence, he does not shy away. The violence in this movie is in your face, it's hardcore, and it's visceral, and Alexander Raja does an expert job of putting it on screen. I think the cinematography in this movie is outstanding. I think the desert setting is much more foreboding and much more intimidating than it was in the original movie. I think the actors in this movie do an outstanding job. You have people like Aaron Stanford, Ted Levine, and Kathleen Quinlan, and Vanessa Shaw. They play, the Carter family, along with the two kids who play Bobby Jr. and Brenda. And you also have the mutant cannibal family, which has Robert Joy, Billy Drago, and Pluto to them for themselves. And I thought everyone in this movie played their roles perfectly. Billy Drago plays Papa Jupiter. Papa Jupiter in this movie has a more scaled down role as opposed to how he was in the original movie. But the scenes that Jupiter does have, he's great. Billy Drago does a good job of just being menacing and just being just the sadistic cat, just being a sadistic, especially at the end of the movie when Jupiter attacks Bobby and Brenda at the camper home site when Bobby and Brenda set the trap. That's when Drago really comes to fruition. But we see him earlier when Big Bob goes to the gas station to try and see what's going on, and we see Papa Jupiter attack Bob in the car, which is a great scene, which is beautifully tense and beautifully directed. Great stuff. You got Michael Bailey Smith as Pluto, who is just this hulking behemoth of a man who just wrecks shop. Especially in the climax of the movie when he and Doug have a bloodbath of a fight, and he kicks Doug's ass. He takes the man's fingers. He literally takes three of the man's fingers, and Raja does not cut away from that, and it's just so good. And when you see Doug beat Pluto, it's you can't help but cheer Doug on. Like, yes, you finally got him. I mean, you got your ship pushed in for most of the fight, and you finally got one on him. Great stuff. And you got Robert Joy, who played Lizard, and Lizard is just this, who's like pretty much the leader of the mutants in this movie, and he's just an asshole. He's just a raping, sadistic asshole. He rapes Brenda. He rapes Lynn, the older sister. He kidnaps the baby and holds it at gunpoint. Lizard is a bad son of a bitch. And when Ruby takes him out at the end of the movie, you just like, yes. Yeah, so like the acting in this movie is top notch. For me, I think it's great. It's very, very natural. And since the acting is so good and the chemistry between these actors are also good, I buy them as a family so that when the shit does hit the fan, I feel for these people. I feel for these characters. And again, all that goes to the cast. They all do a splendid job. K&B do the makeup, do these special effects in this movie, and they look great. The look of the mutants, they look outstanding. They're very distinct. They're very creepy and just gnarly looking. I like the whole look of this town. Now, the story of the mutants in this movie was that there's that nuclear testing went on in the deserts where they occupy, and they are forced to move into the mines. But they were exposed to that nuclear radiation, which is what mutated them into how they look. So I like how this movie gave an explanation to the mutants and kind of gave them a sympathetic story in a way, without taking away from that menace. So it's this movie instantly separates itself by giving the mutants to me a more plausible story as opposed to the original where they were just raised by Jupiter after he was abandoned by his father. Like these mutants actually have a reason to attack people. They feel like they were wronged by normal society and that they made them what they were. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that story. I like it, and I like how the movie didn't. And I like how the movie dropped hints and explained it a little bit, but it didn't take center stage. But this movie is about a thrill, about the experience of the horror of it all. And like I said, this movie captures it perfectly. And of course, it captures the iconic scene of Big Bob's death when he's strapped to a tree and set on flames. That's all done. That's just a joy to see. We get Beauty and the Beast, and in this movie, just like in the original, Beast acts like a badass. He bites the throat of one guy, and then he viciously attacks this other character called Big Brain in a chair. So yeah, I cannot praise the Hills Have Eyes remake enough. There is so much more that I want to talk about, but as you can tell, I can go on about this movie for quite a while because this remake is outstanding. It is awesome. One of the better horror remakes to come out in recent times, which is why I have zero problem giving the Hills of Ice remake a solid 10 out of 10. This is what the original movie should have been, and I know for a fact that if Wes Craven had his druthers, this would have been the movie he would have directed in 1977. But I'm glad that we got this movie in 2006. And I remember seeing this in theaters too, and I loved it then. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for the Hills That Have Eyes remake. A rare remake that outdoes the original and is even better and more visceral and violent and just more fun than the original movie itself. So yes, let me know your thoughts on the Hills That Have Eyes remake in the comment sections below. Also, let me know if you like the original or the remake in the comment section below as well. And I will also provide my review for the original Hills Have Eyes movie in both the description box and in the comment sections itself. Anyway, like the video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.